That would be the most horrible experience, man. It reminds me of when I went to, Tanny just messaged us. She's having some issues.
Yeah.
It reminds me when I was in college. I took a criminal justice class. I took a few criminal justice classes, and one of the summer trips they take you is to Marion. I want to say it's Marion Women's Prison, Marysville Women's Prison. Yeah. So every year we would get asked to go, and I would just be like, I'm going to spend a whole day. Really, did I just kill the mosquito? Do I really want to spend the whole day at a prison, right? Like, it's a field trip, but it's still going to a prison. And of course, the worst nightmare to have is like you go to the prison and they end up being like, man, you can't leave. You got to stay here. Which I think is like, would be like one of the worst tricks ever to somebody. And it doesn't help that prisons are so remote. Like, they're always in this very remote, conservative town where it's like, it's freaky, man. So I've seen jails, but I've never actually been inside a prison. I've chosen to not go every time. I think maybe I'll go one day, but I really just kind of don't need to see it. I'm just like, you know, and you know, it's just too much for me. It's too close to home.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think there's things that you'll just sort of, believe they're as bad as they are. You don't have to see them for yourself, or, you know, experience things for yourself to know, this isn't a good thing. So, yeah. I kind of feel the same with that too. It's like, it gives me like a really sort of uncomfortable feeling in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like visiting a hospital, and it's not like visiting a zoo. You're visiting people who lost their freedom, who are family members, children of people, mothers, fathers of people, and you're just walking around amongst the, the people in bondage, and just like, oh, look, that's them. This is what they have to go through, except for they don't leave when they want. It's crazy to me. So I've never taken one. I used to feel guilty about it, but I'm just kind of like, I don't really need to see that at all.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. I can't imagine another job that I would do. I don't know. I couldn't. When I think about, like, when I did ride-alongs, I always think, I knew I would never be a police officer. I figured that out, like, probably in high school. I was like, I went egging too much with my friends. I'm like, this is too much fun. I would never be a police officer. Because if I caught somebody egging, I would feel like an asshole, being like, you got caught. You broke the law, so let's go. I'm going to write you this. I'll get in my car. I knew I'd give people too much benefit of the doubt, but policing is one thing. Being in the actual prison is a whole nother thing to me. And I had a friend who used to do juvenile detentions, and his stories were crazy. How he would get these teenage kids who were just already, full-time criminals. Some of them murderers, some of them hurt their families, man. And he had to, like, talk to them, socialize with them, and govern them. And he would always share some of these, like, heartbreaking stories of these children who were just, like, through circumstance, there was just chances of them straightening out were very slim. And that was his job. And he would be like, he had to come home and be like with his family and all that. And afterwards, I think he recently switched over and got into the education so he can get a little bit more upstream catch kids in schools before. But man, it's crazy. That whole prison system makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's cool that you figured it out. Maybe I can do some prevention rather than correction on the other end.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's enjoying that more.
Yeah, I definitely enjoys it more. Better hours, because he used to work every holiday. One thing you don't think about with prisons, people in prisons are still working during the holidays.
Yeah.
Crazy things can happen in prisons during the holidays. So he never really got a lot of consistent time. Now seeing him work in the preventative space, he gets family time. He gets a normal life. He gets to see some progress if they're changing the way a kid thinks about his life. You get to have a little bit more wins there than you do the other side of the fence. But man, that job, like, I have a cousin who's done that his whole career.
Yeah.
And I love my cousin to death. He's my older cousin. I remember one year I wanted to do an internship there. I was like, can I come and do an internship at your office? He was like, no, you don't want to do this shit. Take your ass somewhere. I'm not even gonna let you do this. I'm like, why? You just give me the hours. And he was like, no, I'm gonna save you from this. You don't want to do this. Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Okay.
Crazy. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. The craziest ever was the pawn shop. That was crazy enough.
Yeah.
I can't do anything past that. No.
Yeah.
But it does attract certain types of people. It definitely attracts certain types of people who have, I'm trying to say, what's a good way to put this? I mean, you have to be a certain kind of person that want to feel like a job like that. Like you could do a job like that day in and day out, right? Like you're in a pretty aggressive, sometimes violent position, The negative Nancy's are going off. Trying to think on a lighter note, something funny that happened this week. I'm trying to think of what else I've had this week. That was pretty fun. Found some snakes in my garden.
That's lighter.
They were harmless snakes, but it was cool. I was reaching for a water hose the other day. It's green and striped, and I wasn't thinking anything of it. And normally my eyes pick up on stuff. I go down to reach for the water hose, and this black and yellow snake just whips itself against the brick wall and jumps away, like out of the way, like, oh. And it wasn't a big one. It was a smaller one. But it made me go like, oh, shoot. Like I wasn't paying attention that much that I didn't even recognize the difference between the water hose and the snake. And I remember watching an Instagram story, a news story on my iPhone about a little kid in Texas getting bit by a copperhead, and his hand swelled up, thinking, oh shit, this is that time of the year, and that could have happened to me. So it kind of woke me up, man. So yeah. I've been seeing a lot of holes in the yard, and I've been thinking, are they frogs? Are they snakes? Who cares? But when you actually see the snake, it like changes everything for you. Like, all right, I'm looking at everything a little different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have a trail sort of that runs near our house where I go running and walking and jogging and stuff. And if you go like early in the morning, which I do sometimes, you will see like snakes and these massive spiders. And all kinds of crazy, everything that comes out during the night and then sort of goes and hides during the day is out on the trail, like super early in the morning. So yes, it's not uncommon that I'll be, just jogging, then just have to jump to avoid a snake that's right there. And it's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that well, I'm pretty sure that's sort of harmless snakes, but they're still like you don't want to sort of take the risk with that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to
Like,
tangle with a
like,
snake. Yeah.
no, trying to figure out what it is and kind of thing. So
Yeah, they're freaky animals. My kids watched this show on Netflix called Creature Cases. Go, I'm on the go. And the creature cases are like little Inspector Gadget animals that go and solve problems with animal problems all around the world. And the first episode was about snakes. One of the snakes bit the train conductor and they got drowsy, so they couldn't stop the train. And the detectives had to figure out what snake's on the train because it was an animal train, kind of like Zootopia. And they were like, which snake bit the conductor? So they're going around and they got to learn about snakes that are mostly nocturnal, snakes that are poisonous versus ones that aren't. And of course, their favorite snake is the king cobra snake. And that's because it has the hood and it's a really cool hood.
Yeah.
So so my girls were learning about snakes in there, and I could tell one, learning about something makes you less afraid of it. Like I got to see that. So now, before, if I would have said anything about snake, they wouldn't even want to hear about it. But now they're a little bit more interested. Was it a venomous snake, Daddy? I don't think it was a venomous snake. Well, then they only eat eggs and they eat this and they eat that. So it's pretty cool to see them watch a show and then be able to like go, oh, they're actually getting something from the animation. And I mean, a lot of people are like criticize YouTube. My kids learn a lot of shit from YouTube, more good than bad.
Yeah.
You know, if I had YouTube when I was a kid, I would have used YouTube for like learning how to do bad shit. Like how do you like watching kids jump off roofs or like do stunts or something like that? Because Jackass was really big. I feel like YouTube would have been full of just Jackass stuff.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it is. There's so much stuff in there. You never know.
Yeah, you're true.
True that. We cut to a like Home Depot like type home supply kind of store. Hey, excuse me, Mike. Mike. Hi, remember me from a couple weeks ago? I bought that garden hose. One you recommended to me.
I recommended the garden hose, the one that you have it right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recommend that one pretty frequently. That's we call that one the Python simulator hose. Mm-hmm. Kind of looks like a Python, but it's really a water hose. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, I put it in my garden. I used it a couple times, and I went out there a few days ago and reached for it, because it was a hot day that I needed to spray some water around, and I reached out. Guess what I grabbed instead of the hose? A real life python.
Oh, you grabbed the python instead of the hose?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How it probably was a female python because the water hose we gave you was pretty long and it's there to simulate a male python. So probably grab yourself there a female python.
Look, I don't care, male, female, doesn't matter to me. The fact is I grabbed a real python and it bit my hand.
Oh.
Which is why, yeah.
Okay.
So, apparently this whole...
Does your hand look like an egg? Because pythons love eggs.
Does it look like an egg? It did split up like an egg. It was egg-shaped, which is why this happened a couple days ago. I've been in the hospital the whole time since then. I just got out, went home, went to grab the hose again to bring it back here. Guess what I grabbed instead?
You grabbed
Another
that.
python.
You grabbed
I grabbed
another
another
python.
python. Yeah. Hmm.
Was it the
So
same
this,
python as before, or is it a different?
it was a different one. I could tell it looked different. I could, when I looked into his eyes as it sunk its
Mm.
teeth into my hand, I could tell this was a different python.
Oh, sorry, I'm chuckling there. I'm sorry. You got really
Yes, this
detailed
isn't
in the
funny.
story.
Uh-huh.
I think what you just uncovered is something very important here. You said that it was two different pythons that was snuggling
Hmm.
up against that Python simulator water hose we gave you there. One thing that I
Right.
think is really, really important is we gave you the Magnum Python edition. That means it's the largest water hose that we got. And what you might be doing here is might be attracting some Python ladies that are in heat, and they're smosing around to your water hose, and they're biting you because they're probably making love, and you're interrupting the love making that's going on with your water hose. So I would be very, very careful. Pythons are extremely aggressive during their breeding. All right. So that's probably what's going on there. I used to work at an animal sanctuary long, long,
Okay.
long time ago. Long time ago.
Okay. That's great and
So,
everything. And
so, so
I know.
if you go back out there and you see the pythons are still having sex, give it about 2 more days, and then go out there.
I
You
don't.
should
You know,
be able to see one python out there.
yeah. I don't think that I'm comfortable with a bunch of snakes just having a bunch of pythons, very dangerous snakes, just having sex outside of my house. I would rather that didn't happen in my backyard. I play out there. I'm a child at heart. I play a lot of games in my backyard.
Well, as long as you're
So
not bothering them, they shouldn't be dangerous. There's nothing dangerous about snake sex at all. It's actually one of the most loving and sensual sex in all the animal kingdom. They twirl around each other. Sometimes they do like little donut holes around each other. It's really cool. It's when you go down and
it's
you
really cool.
grab one from actually doing the love making is when they get violent. Just think about it. If you in there with your old lady and you mid stroke and somebody comes in and grabs you off of your wife, you would want to bite them, wouldn't you? Just
I'll
think
probably
about
bite
it.
them. Yeah,
You
I'll probably
definitely
just
want
bite
to
them
fight them,
out of
right there.
instinct.
That would be the
Yeah.
first response. So you got to just empathize a little bit with the pythons here. Now, what I will do is I will exchange the water hose for a smaller water hose, a regular one. That will attract less female pythons. They like big, thick water hose like male pythons. And that's the one we
Okay.
gave. We gave you the Magnum Python simulator. We're going to give you the regular one, but you got to bring the one back and I'll exchange it for you. You won't have to have no receipt or anything. This happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, I did bring it back. It's right here in my hand.
Oh, shit. That, sir, is not a water hose. That is a python.
Oh.
Yeah.
How? It bit me again.
Okay, you got to get out of the store.
See.
Good night.